Hey guys, and welcome back to my weekly reading vlog where every time I finish a book, I pop on the camera and let you guys know how I feel about it and then let you know what I'm going to be reading next. And I finished Head On by John Scalzi, the second book in the Lock-In series, and I liked it. I really liked it. I didn't think it was amazing, but I did really like it. But this is essentially a murder mystery. Um, it's a kind of a murder mystery series, but it's science fiction. Essentially, we are living in a world where some people have been locked into their bodies. Essentially, their mind works, but they can't make their bodies work. And through science, they are able to control robot bodies. That's the gist of this world. Our main character is an FBI agent and solves murders. And that's what this was. And it was really good. John Scalzi is very upfront about the fact that he likes to write science fiction, but he really likes to write accessible science fiction. So, science fiction for people who generally don't read it. And that is exactly what this is. It was interesting science fiction that never really got into overly technical or into just harder reading. It was always easy and fun and just well written. And I liked the murder mystery itself. I'm pretty easy to fool. I don't always see all the clues, but I like that this one had a lot of moving parts, but managed to stay just this side of overcomplicated. And so when we got to the end, we were piecing it all together. I just found it really interesting. The character development in this one, I was hoping there would be more than in the first book, and unfortunately, it is very much lacking. We have our characters, they do their thing, but it's not really fully fleshed out characters. So if you really need good characters for a story, this may or may not work for you. But otherwise, I really liked it. And so I am going to pick up a new book, further ignoring the ones that I am currently in the middle of. But I am going to read Death Sworn by Cypress. This is the first book in a trilogy. And in this book, Ilona has been losing her magic. And so she is sent, because of this, she is sent off to go tutor the assassins. And this is essentially a death sentence. She is sent off, she is told by her elders that will probably die doing this because the previous two tutors that have been sent to the assassins have died under suspicious circumstances. So when Ilona gets there, she is very motivated to try to find out what happened to them while still dealing with the fact that her magic is dwindling down to nothing. This is really interesting. I'm 78 pages in. It is such an easy read, so fast. And I'm intrigued. I like Ilona. I think that the other character we've been introduced to, I don't remember their name. Soren, maybe? I think that he is interesting too, but not... in some ways, he's a little bit run-of-the-mill. But I really like actually our main character, and I'm intrigued to see what she does. I like that she's defiant. When she talks to people, she frequently says things and then thinks, maybe I shouldn't have said that because they can kill me. But she's just like, I'm probably gonna die here anyway, so who cares? And I kind of like that. Anyway, I'm enjoying it so far, so it should be a very quick read, and I should have another update for you guys soon. So until then, bye. Hey guys, it is Friday night, and I have a huge update for you. I finished 3 books. So here's the deal. So I've been in the middle of technically 4, but one is officially paused. So 3 books. And I've been struggling to get through them because they're just kind of lackluster. But I didn't want to give up on any of them, and it was just a mess. But I decided that I really wanted to walk into June with a clean slate. I just wanted to be done with these books. And then, if I want to continue on the series, I'll continue on the series, which for two of them I did. So I needed to read this one. But if not, if it was terrible, I would just dump it. I just needed to be done with them. And so I rotated through all three as I was reading so that I never got super mad at anything. And then I finished them. So since we have three books to talk about, let's just jump right in. The first is Death Sworn by Lee Cypress. This is the first book in a duology, and we are following our main character of Eleni, who is a sorceress, but she is losing her magic. She is sent off to be a tutor for the assassins, which she is like the magic users are required to do this as part of a treaty, but the tutors who have been sent previously have wound up dead. And so she is a little fearful for her life, and she definitely has a stake in figuring out what has happened to these older tutors. When I first talked to you guys about this book, I really liked it. I was just like, the main character is different. We're getting this defiance, this nihilism that you don't generally get from a YA book. And it was because she was in shock, and almost immediately that shock wore off, and we got a slightly different character. And I did not appreciate that. I actually didn't really like any of the characters in this book, truly. I liked beginning Eleni. I did not really love her after that. But the thing about this book is that it's a lot of ups and downs. So there were some things that were so amazingly, horribly predictable, almost not even trying kind of predictable, but then the author would turn around and do something so interesting and different that I was just like, okay, I guess I'm still interested in this. And it really did pull me in enough that even though, I got to the halfway-ish point, and I decided, okay, I'm just going to read the last chapter, skim the last chapter and see how I feel about it. And then I was intrigued how we got there, so I ended up finishing this whole book. Now, it did obviously it drew me in, it kept me entertained, but it was very hit or miss. It was just, there were so many ups and downs through it. I would not recommend this unless you really, really like YA fantasy. If you don't, this is probably just not, it's just not good enough, right? I ended up giving this 3 stars because I did enjoy it. And I will continue with this series, by the way, because it's only one other book. And I do want to see how it ends. So we'll see. After that, I finished Heroine Worship by Sarah Kuhn. I finally finished it. This is the second book in the Heroine Complex series, and in this book we are following Aveda Jupiter as she has a midlife crisis because she is no longer San Francisco's only superhero. She is no longer the beloved superhero, and now she's having to deal with a lot of fallout from being a diva previously. And so she actually had a little bit of not comeuppance, but realization that maybe she needed to change her ways at the end of the last book. And so she's trying to do it in this book, but it's difficult in the beginning because she doesn't actually know what the problem is. She thinks she does, but it's not actually the problem. And so this was difficult for me to read because she was not very likable. I could see what she was doing, and I was just like, but that's not actually the problem. You're focusing on the wrong part. But I wanted to keep reading this because I do really want to read book 3 because I like that character a lot more. It's following Beatrice, a younger sibling, and I really wanted to get there. So it's like I am determined to read this. And I knew that it would get better once Aveda had the epiphany that she was doing the wrong thing. She was trying to fix the wrong thing. And it did. It got so much better. And what I realized is I really like these characters and I really like the storylines. They're silly and just completely over the top ridiculous, like you frequently find in superhero books. However, what I do not like is how clunky the writing is. And so it didn't always flow smoothly. And then there would be times where the author would be over explaining stuff, or like the dialogue between Aveda and her best friend Evie would be so like unnecessary, just unnecessary. And so while I like the concept of everything, I don't really like the execution. And so I did end up giving this a 3 stars. I'm going to continue with the series because I do like the concepts enough, but this is a series that I'm definitely going to be picking up from my library. And then lastly, I finished Windburn by Shannon Mayer, the 4th book in the Elemental series. This book, this book, it follows our main character of Larkspur, and this whole series is following her as she goes on various misadventures. After she is accused of treason, she needs to kind of figure out why she was accused of treason and who was like that whole nonsense. And then the whole storyline for this series kind of goes from there. And in this 4th book, she is actually looking for a person who has gone missing, who is very, very important. This book was a little weird in the sense of the first half, the storyline was pretty weak, I would say. It wasn't as good as previous books had been, and the romantic portion of it was just over the top. And I didn't appreciate either of those things. And then the second half of the book was much better. First of all, we had far less to do with the romantic stuff, but also just the storyline itself, like, was just stronger. It was much more in line with the previous books and what I kind of had expected. And so it was a little weird. I did say that this is a transitional book. I thought that this was probably a transitional book, and I don't disagree with that. So it is very much wrapping up the storylines that we got, the continuing storyline from the first 3 books, and now we're moving into the end game. And that's all fine. It just felt very transitional. And so I didn't fully love it, but I didn't think it was terrible. It was basically not the strongest book in this series. However, it was still, once I got to the halfway point, it was enjoyable. And I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars, and I am going to continue because the beginning books were such fun reads, and I want to continue on and see where it goes. So those are the 3 books that I finished. So in the now I am going to pick up Magic Bites by Ilona Andrews, the 1st book in the Kate Daniels series. Now this book is an urban fantasy. It is an alternate universe, Atlanta, Georgia, where magic comes in waves, and when it comes, everything technological fails. It just doesn't work. And then when magic leaves, none of the magic stuff works anymore. And our main character is Kate Daniels, and she is a mercenary, and she is trying to track down the killer of her guardian. So this is actually a book from my June TBR, and I decided to go ahead and start reading it because honestly I wanted to. Like, I had finished the books that I wanted to finish for May. I looked at the possibilities for what I could read in May, and I just was like, I want to read this one. I want to start the Kate Daniels and just see where it goes. And so that's why I decided to go ahead and pick it up. I am 40 pages in now, and it's been interesting. This is technically a reread for me, but I don't remember anything. So it has been at least 8 years since I have read this book. So I just don't remember. And so as I'm reading, I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember that. But I couldn't tell you where it's going to go. I I don't know. And so I find that to be really interesting. Um, I am very excited to see kind of how I end up feeling about this series. So, that is it. I'm reading Magic Bites. I'm very excited. I'm a little bit I'm a little bit scared. Maybe I won't like it. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. But I'm going to reread it. We'll see how it goes. But that's all I have, you guys. So until next time, bye. Hey guys, it is Saturday night and it is time for my end of the week update. And I am now 125 pages into Magic Bites by Ilona Andrews, the first book in the Kate Daniels series. And you guys, this is a trip because like I read a lot of urban fantasy like 2007 and 2008 really. There was this huge wave of urban fantasy, and this is when this was published, and I definitely was reading a lot of urban fantasy then, and they all just kind of have this very specific flavor, and like it just takes me back. This is all kinds of nostalgia right here. So for that, and because I do remember some of the things going that's going to happen later in the series, I am enjoying this. However, it's not amazing. Like, the story is fine. The world building is actually really interesting, but we're not doing much with it. The characters are okay. Like, I don't love Kate. She's definitely got the I'm super kick ass, and so, like, whatever. I don't know how to describe that, but, like, it's a very specific type of urban fantasy heroine we've got going on. And the only thing that saves her from herself is actually that she does make mistakes. Like I just got done with the chapter where she took an action. She basically figured out what her possible actions were and then took the one that she thought was best, and actually it wasn't. And now there are consequences. And instead of just being a jerk about it, she's like, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. This was dumb. Okay, how can I mitigate the consequences? And that's what she does. So I do appreciate that. It kind of saves the character from itself. But yeah, a whole lot of it's fine. I am, again, still enjoying it though because I do have a lot of nostalgia and I do remember where it goes. But we will see. I don't remember the ending. Even as I'm reading this, I do not exactly remember the ending. So I am very excited to get there. But that's it, you guys. So until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.